I'm Jim, and I work for Scanning Pens. I've worked for Scanning Pens just over 4 years now. I'm also dyslexic myself as well. So I may refer back to that and some stories and experience that I have that can hopefully relate to some of the sessions that you've had with students as well. And I look after the secondary sector as well. So anything to do with secondary schools, I'm your person basically. So I'm really looking forward to doing this presentation, and I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you that in this current climate and all of the hard work that you're doing under the uncertain times at the moment that's happening. My wife's a primary school teacher as well, and all this uncertainty around, and I know how hard all of you are working to teach the students and make sure that they're getting the best learning possible, and also helping them students who do have them reading difficulties as well from home and in the school environment as well. So I just wanted to say that to all of you as well. So I'm now going to pass you over to Julia.
Hi everybody, I'm Julia and I'm Head of Education at Scanning Pens. I've been with Scanning Pens for 2 years. Prior to that, I was a teacher. I have done some advisory work. My classroom-based practice was around English and literacy support. I've worked in primary PRUs and secondary PRUs too, so working with those students that are at that very challenging level was something that I did for a large part of my career, and very interesting for me. There are so many children with reading difficulties who actually go into the PRU system, but they've not necessarily had their learning needs identified. So that was me for about 25, if not more, years. And I came to Scanning Pens to provide additional support with learning resources and an insight for teachers, really, because I've got the idea of what you need to be able to support students in the classroom. So I've been creating resources and also creating training packages for teachers, so that you can feel really confident in using the Scanning Pens assistive technology. I also blog and talk a lot about assistive technologies that support SEN, and I think I'm doing TES show this week, so I'm generally quite busy talking, lecturing and supporting. It's a really exciting world to be in, having stepped out of education. And just at this point, I just want to echo thank you so much for all that you are doing with our students in schools. My hat goes off to you, and my praise goes to you, and my thanks go to you. It's a really, really tough job at the moment and feel somewhat thankless. Thank you. I'd really love to thank you. I think you're all doing a wonderful job and want to echo that appreciation, genuine appreciation. So let me tell you what we're going to be talking about. We're going to whistle through some of the bits of this training. It's training 1 of 3. And in my mind it is anyway, and it's the introduction to Scanning Pen support for Reader Pen, and a little bit on the exam pen as well. And I wrote this training program so that we could invite schools to be Scanning Pens demonstrator schools, you know, give you all the opportunity to excel with this technology and have a better understanding of how to support students with that assistive technology. So that's what we'd really like. We'd like you to enjoy this presentation, come away feeling much more knowledgeable about the Scanning Pens. And I know that you have exam readers in school and you have Reader Pens, and we've been asked to focus a little bit more on the Reader Pens and the functionality of those, and I can also support you with some learning ideas with the Reader Pen. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. And then the opportunity to do a little bit more training with us is there. It's free training. You just need to feed back to us that you would like to engage with that, and we'll continue this little training package for you. We're going to show you some case studies, and I will do some signposting to some resources that I've created that will be suitable for your students as well. So just very briefly, this is the 3 sessions. Session 1 is all That's all of you. You're all going to benefit and have a better understanding from doing this little bit of training. The second session is really useful for anybody who has actually got the responsibility of delivering training to students or to teachers who are going to be working with the reader pens or exam pens in your schools, because implementation is really key, and how you get it right will depend on the success of that strategy and the learning gains for your students. They link together. So in that second session, if you would like to come along and book into a second session with us, I'd be talking about how you can evidence progress with students using reader pens and different strategies you can use in the classroom, and also showing you a little bit more of this document, which is a free document available called the Literacy Passport, which has IEPs already written and other pro formas that you will find very helpful if you're transferring information from class to class or from school to school for students who have reading difficulties and use assistive tech. The third session, you'll be welcome to join us on that if you are someone who works with the SEN children in your school, and it is mostly focused on how to develop that independent learning with those SEN learners, and goes through multimodal and multisensory learning practices that you can use. So much more about the nuts and bolts of how could we use Jenga blocks and scanning pens to create a learning activity that would engage a student who really doesn't want to engage in reading. So that's what session 3 will mostly be about. It's also going to cover much more fully something we'll talk about briefly today, which is the bridge between paper-based learning and computer-based learning styles, because the reader pen can be that bridge. And I know Jim's going to talk about it briefly, but that session 3 will go into that into much greater depth. Jim.
Thanks, Julian. And that's the great thing about my role and about doing these webinars, is that it's great listening to some of the features, the benefits and how the pen can work, but Julia can really give you that kind of perspective from a teacher's point of view and dive into that more educational perspective. So it's great that we have Julia on board. So thank you, Julia, for always joining on the webinars and sharing this knowledge with other people and other teachers as well. So thank you for that. So what I wanted to do is just briefly go over this slide and then move into what all of our different pens are, because there may be a couple of pens that you didn't know are available to you that could potentially help the students. So what does scanning pens actually do, and how can they help you? So scanning pens is an electronic device that scans over printed text and then reads aloud to you. So that's the simple premise of how that pen works. And you're using that simultaneously highlighting to then see it on the screen and then hear it via the headphones. So anything printed, the pen will then read aloud back to you. And what's great about the pens is it can support socially distanced learning. And what I mean by that is that the pen doesn't require 2 people to be sat next to them. The pen is perfect for that student to sit independently and work by themselves. And that creates that social distancing aspect, so they can actually sit in the classroom and use it, or they can sit at home and use it, and then use it maybe with their parent as well. This blended learning kind of aspect. And what I mean by this is that now we're actually working from home a lot more, and students are having to take this from home. They can start to use the pen more as a home support from their home environment instead of not just in the classroom. So they can use it in the classroom and take it at home as well. And that's really important. So what I next wanted to do is go through all of the different types of pens that we have available and what they do. And then I'll move into the reader pen and cover some of the details about the aspects of the features and benefits with you and how that actually works. So these are all of our different pens. So you're very aware of the exam reader, and I know you're aware of the reader pen. And I know that you might not be aware of what the Lingo pen is and what the Connect pen is. So I'll firstly go through what the reader pen is. So the reader pen is basically what I call the research pen. So this is the pen that has all of the features on it. So you have a dictionary on it, you have a dictaphone on it, you have storage on it. So I'll go into more detail about how these features all work and how they can be great for that student's learning. And then you have the exam reader. So we all know exams are cancelled at the currently, but the exam reader is still a fantastic tool to use from home. So the difference between the exam reader is that the reader pen has all of the features on. The reader pen has the dictionary on, has the storage on, whereas the exam reader has none of them features. So the exam reader is purely for examinations only. So that is the main difference between them. Then moving on, the next pen is the Lingo pen. So the Lingo pen is a device used for EAL students. So it's a fantastic pen that can help you actually get translations. So the Lingo pen actually has translations on it. So it has French, Spanish, Italian, German, Chinese, Russian, and an Arabic download as well. So what the pen will actually do is scan over a word, and then it will actually give you the translation of that word. And it also has a dictionary on there as well. So this is fantastic for them EAL students, especially EAL students who are struggling to access the materials from home. They can actually pick up their Lingo pen, scan over a word, and get that translated into them different languages as well. And that's both ways using the Lingo pen. The next pen is the Connect pen. So the Connect pen is a fantastic device that is used using Bluetooth. So this is where you can create that kind of bridge that Julia was mentioning, where you're actually using the Bluetooth, which will connect to your iPad, your computer, and you can actually scan with the pen. And then what it does, it then uploads it onto your electronic device. But you would need Wi-Fi and you would need Bluetooth to use this device, and you would need to download the app onto there. So that's a fantastic tool. Mainly it's used at college, university level, but still great tool that maybe secondary students would want to use. So this is a device that uses Bluetooth, where you scan over them words and then it will appear on that app. So I just wanted to briefly run through each of them devices and what they do and how they work. So what I did want to do is go through all of the features and benefits on all of the pens and then run through how they all work. So the pens don't require Wi-Fi other than the Connect pen. So all of them just run off a portable battery, and they don't need Bluetooth to be connected to. They're completely portable, and all they require is you to plug in headphones. However, if you're in a small room and you want to hear, you can actually plug out the headphones and you can hear from a speaker, and you can also plug in a speaker as well. So it's a 3.5mm jack. So a universal jack where you can just plug in your own headphones and you can listen independently, quietly, and confidently using the pen. What's great about the pen is it's a rechargeable battery as well. So you get a USB cable provided with the pen, and it takes 2 hours to charge, and you get 8 hours battery life using this pen. So you get a full week's worth of using the pen, and it's a really plug in and play device. So it's really easy to charge this pen as well. And unlike laptops and smartphones and computers, it's really easy to get distracted, maybe looking at it on the internet, looking at the news updates, sport updates, whereas with a pen, you can't access the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. You are fully focused on the resources that are available to you, where you can scan over that text and you can have it read aloud back to you. So you're fully engaged and you haven't got them distractions close to you. So the pen's a fantastic tool in that aspect as well. So what I want to do is go through some of the research of how audio promotes literacy. So I'm going to just pass over to Julia, who's going to talk about this research that was done and talk about it in more depth. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll go through in more detail about the features and benefits of the Reader Pen.
Righto, and just going to draw your attention to the chat there, Jim, while I do that, and have a chat with you all about how audio promotes literacy. And I think you will all agree with me that if we can set up a student with an audio listening opportunity at the same time as reading, young people seem to embed that learning far more quickly. So there's been some research done by the Audio Publishers Association, and the research was actually done around audiobooks, but the same applies to the pens, because what's happening is that when the words are scanned, they appear on the pen and they highlight as the words go across the pen. That means that you can focus on the word and you can listen to the word at the same time. All of our pens allow you to go back and listen back to that word as many times as you want to, discreetly. And this means that you can personalize that bit of learning that you're doing. So you've got this combination of print and audio, and it's proven to increase recall, which is fantastic if you are preparing for exams, if you are preparing for tests, or you are looking at your revision practice. It means that you're going to accelerate what is remembered by your students. So as a strategy being used to support research and remembering and revision, it may not just be your learners who have dyslexia or reading difficulties that you might want to target with this pen. You might want to also think about making this as a tool available for your students with ADHD or students who struggle with their concentration, because what it will literally do is tie the student to the learning via their headphones. So this is a great way to combine audio and print to help reinforce what's being learnt, and the data is quite significant. It's 2 levels of progress that are being made above and beyond what would have been made had not audio and text been used as a strategy. So it works. It's very worthwhile using as a support strategy in class. And motivation wise, I think this is really good news. Anything that motivates students is excellent. And we know that that little bit of support that can be provided by that audio feedback actually increases motivation by 67%. I would go for that in my classroom, definitely. Over to you, Jim.
Thanks, Julie, for going through that for me. It's really nice to hear it myself as well, and again, listen to that research. It's really important to teachers and to students as well. So the first thing I actually wanted to do, because I've seen in the chat that a lot of you that you've got mostly exam pens, and so we will go over the slide about exams and about the exam pens. What I'm quite interested in, and if any you can type in the chat, is are you actually, I know exams are cancelled for this summer, but are any of you still doing like in-house assessments, or are you doing any sort of exams with students at the moment, or anything in particular? Because I've heard different things, and I'm just interested to hear if any of you can share that with us at all. That would be fantastic, just to hear if there's anything going on at all. Just before I go into this slide and talk about in-house. Okay, brilliant. That's really, really, really great to hear and interesting to hear. So I will go over the slide about the exam pens and some hints and tips using them pens and all of the features on there. But what I wanted to do is to go through the reader pen as well. So I know you've all of the exam readers, but you are welcome to take a 30-day free trial of the reader pen. And because you're such a huge school and you've already purchased lots of pens from us, you'll be welcome to take up to 5 to 10 pens of the reader pen as well, if you'd like to try them out with students or however you want to do it. So firstly, I wanted to go through all of the main features of the reader pen and how they work in a school setting. So the first thing is the main feature, which is the text reader. And if you're not aware, there's loads of different settings that you can use to personalize for that student's likings and make their working easier. So what I mean by this is, in the text reader, you click into it and then you scan over, lift up the pen, and then it reads aloud back to you. But there's loads of different settings within this, and this is included in the exam reader as well, that you can change to make that learning more suitable for that student and make it easier for them. So for example, did you know that you can either slow it down or you can make it quicker? So in the text reader, if you click into your settings button, in there's actually a button that says speed. So in there, you can make it really slow or you can make it really quick. The problem with that is that if you do slow it down, it can potentially slur the words. So what we actually did is that we added in a new feature called the word pause or punctuation pause. So the word pause setting follows the basic same rule, but what this does is it pauses between each word for a couple of seconds. So what I mean by this is, if you're scanning the sentence, the cat sat on the mat, instead of it going, the cat sat on the mat in one big go, referring to myself as a dyslexic myself as well, I would need sometimes sentences that are quite long. I'd need them spaced out for me. And that's where the word pause is a fantastic tool, where it gives you a couple of seconds between each word. So the pen is actually will allow you to pause between each word. So you can have up to 4 seconds. A general rule of thumb, you only need 1 second to pause between each of these words. So instead of it going, the cat sat on the mat, it will go, the cat sat. And it's really breaking up that sentence and making it more easy for that student to comprehend exactly what it's saying. So this setting is both on the reader pen and on the exam reader. So the word pause is a great personalized feature that a student can use in the classroom or from home. Another great thing is the read delay. So again, this is in the text reader and in the settings, where you can actually click into there. And what it does is it pauses at the end of each sentence. So when you scan a line, lift up the pen. With read delay, it gives you a couple of seconds to set, to listen back. So it actually pauses for 3 seconds and then it will start reading back the sentence to you. So the read delay is a great setting where maybe you want to scan a line and then start getting yourself set. Right, 3 seconds, yeah, I can listen back in. So that's a great feature that you can use. Juliet, yeah.
Can I break in and say, if you're setting up these pens for individual students, so if you've got a bank of pens, you might want to consider these pens going home at the moment to support that home learning. It is well worthwhile spending a bit of time finding someone to get to grips with how you can use these setups. So if you've got individual learners, you might want to pop their name on the side of the pen so you know who you've issued it to. Every pen does have a number that's on the back of it. Unfortunately, you have to use your mobile phone and the magnifier to be able to see it, but you could do that and take a photograph at the same time, so you've got the record over which student has got which pen, and set it up for their individual needs. I would certainly be doing that prior to examination, that I had numbered a pen and got that linked to a student, because there's nothing worse for a student than going into an exam or a test and picking up an unfamiliar piece of kit where another piece of kit might have been made specifically for them. For example, it had already been switched to right-handed from right-handed to left-handed mode, or it might already have been set to a punctuation pause, because you know that student is a scan monkey and you want to just make sure they only scan the words that they need. So it's all about giving you a little bit more power as to how that pen might be used. So setting up is a very important part of making sure that your students are supported. Thanks, Jim.
Brilliant, thank you. So getting a few answers in the chat as well, Julia, which is great to see that they've been bagged up and individually set for personalised students.
Wonderful.
Obviously to follow COVID reasons, the hygiene reasons. So that's fantastic as well. The students are getting that personalised version of the pen as well and not sharing.
Superstars.
Great to hear. Sounds really fantastic. The other thing, I don't know if you're aware, is you can change it between left and right-handed. I know Julia's put that in the chat already. So you just go into your settings on the pen and you'll see it right at the top where it says left and right-handed. And all this does is it flips the screen around. So anyone holding it in their left hand, the pen is in the correct way. Do remember that if it's in left-handed and someone right-handed picks it up, it won't work. So it'll go to gobbledygook and it'll start reading some funky writing and some different symbols. So just make sure that you switch it back if that ever does happen. But anyone left-handed, you will find that they'll actually find it easier to scan backwards. So what I mean by this is you can actually use a pen, scanning left to right, right to left, so the pen will scan backwards as well, and people left-handed will naturally find that much easier to do, and it'll still read from the natural side from the left-hand side. So that's just another nice little hint and tip that you can use to change it round to left and right-handed. What you will find is as well, and what I will say is, when you first start up the pen, all of the features that I'm explaining to you today, when you start it up, it actually gets a setup wizard, so it will actually go through each of these settings for you anyway, so you can actually toggle them on and off. So the setup wizard will straight away launch as soon as you start up the pen, so you can go through all of these settings first without actually having to locate them as well. And Julia will go through some of the resources that we have available, which shows you the diagrams of how you access all of these features that I'm explaining to you as well. So moving on to our other settings that are located on the Reader pen. So I'll whiz through these so we can go through the exam reader and all of the resources, because I know we're on a time limit. So the dictionary mode is self-explanatory. It is a dictionary. So what it will do is it will scan over a word and then it will give you that definition back to you. And there's two dictionaries located on this pen. So there's the Collins Dictionary and there's the Oxford Primary Dictionary. So you can toggle between them. And I know it says Oxford Primary Dictionary, which is more aimed at primary school students, but you will actually find that anyone will use this primary dictionary just generally because it simplifies the words. It makes it easier to understand, because the Collins Dictionary does sometimes go off on a tangent, and you kind of lose focus on that definition sometimes. So feel free to toggle between them dictionaries, and sometimes you will find, if you want an instant definition, that the Oxford Primary Dictionary dictionary is easier to use. So the dictionary, all you need to do is click into it, scan over that word, it will tell you the word, and then it will give you that definition. So you're seeing that definition on that screen and you're hearing it aloud. And then you can press the button again as many times as you like, and you can have that repeated back to you. What's great about the dictionary mode, which I find really interesting, is that you can actually go back out of it and then click into the dictionary and click settings, and then you can click onto history. So what I mean by this is you can actually go in and see all of the words that you've recently scanned and looked up in the dictionary definition. Just referring back to myself, who always forgets things. I'm very known for forgetting definitions or forgetting something that I've read. So the dictionary mode, where the history mode is, it's a fantastic mode where I can go in there and look at all of the definitions that I've recently scanned. And this is great as an activity that you can potentially use with a parent or with that teacher, where you scan different words to understand that vocab, and then you can refer back to it in the history mode, because it's really easy to forget. So that's just a great feature to use. The next feature that I'm going to move on to and want to explain to you is the scan to file. So what scan to file basically is using the USB storage which is located on the pen. So it's basically, like Julia mentioned earlier, this bridge. So what we're doing is we're actually getting that printed text onto your computer screen. So what you're actually doing is you're plugging in your pen, like a USB device, into the computer or laptop, and then you're scanning over, and then that text is instantly transferring onto the computer, or you're saving it onto that pen to listen back to later on. So it doesn't require any software. All it is a plug in and play. You're literally plugging in that USB pen, the C pen, into the laptop via USB cable, and then you can actually get that printed text straight away onto your computer screen. And now that we're doing all of this online learning, it's a fantastic tool to data capture all of this text and then use it and manipulate it on the different programs that we may use on our computers. So the scan to file is basically the storage. So you're accessing that 8 GB storage that has a huge storage device on it. I believe it's like 250,000 pieces of text that you can save onto it. I don't know who actually did that and found that out, but that's the rumor. And basically you can save onto this pen as much as you like and listen back to it later on, or you can plug in a USB and then upload it onto the computer. So that's just that kind of bridge that you're creating that text onto that computer screen. And finally, the last feature, which is the recorder. So it's not the state-of-the-art dictaphone, but it's a really fantastic tool that you can use to record voice clips and then listen back to them later on. So they record as MP4 files or WAV files. So it's basically a dictaphone that you speak into, and then you can save them onto your pen, and then you can upload them again onto your computer as sound files. Or you may want to use them as a bit of a motivational speech, just to help that student out who's a bit anxious in the classroom, or maybe they want to record the lessons, or even yourself as a teacher want to use it as a bit of a recording device when you think of some ideas. So that's a great little feature that's been added to the pen.
I'd use that for homework, Jim. If I had a student who couldn't get the homework done in time and the school didn't have a
Yeah,
show my homework
absolutely. Yeah.
or a TA available to do that bit of writing into the homework book, I would dictaphone it in, or ask the TA to do that, or ask the student to speak it in, to create their own note of things they've got to do when they get home. That's a great way to use it too.
Absolutely. Again, the Reader Pen's got so much functionality and so many different features that you can use, and the recorder is a great feature, like Julia said, to do that homework, and for everything else as well. And you know, what are the pens doing? They're creating that independence, they're creating that confidence. It's discreet. And they're continuously being updated, so you have all of the up-to-date exam pens. And again, if you were to take a trial of the Reader Pen, you would have the most up-to-date pens. And again, you can go to our website to get that free update, and there's a video on there and tutorial on how you update the pens as well. So we will show this video shortly, Julia, if we have some time. We will move into the exam reader, do you think?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, we'll move into the exam readers, because I know you have lots of the exam readers, and we'll go through all of the features and benefits on that. And then we'll get Julia to go through some of our free resources that she has available to you that can really help you with the students and give you some ideas and activities that they can use alongside the pens. So you're all very aware, I'm sure, of the JCQ statement on how the pen works, and how it works in examinations. I know exams are cancelled, and the uncertainty around examinations at the moment, and I'm sure you'll be doing in-house examinations, and we still have them students who do have them reading difficulties and still will require a pen to use in their examinations. So it's so important that we still give them access to something that can help them to answer the exam questions correctly. You know, some of the research that we've done and supported, and I will provide this to you at the end, is that one of the studies shown that actually a student in the examinations actually pressed the button 10 times in their examinations to hear back the question, which is really extraordinary. So you can see that they're getting it repeated back to them. And if you refer this back to maybe Human Reader, or if you're working independently by yourself, you wouldn't ask someone to repeat it back 4 or 5 times. Me personally, if I was working individually, I would skip it, because after 4 or 5 times I'd be like, right, I'm wasting my time here. I don't understand this question, and that's where I'd just skip it. And this could be a huge question that has lots of marks to it, and that's where the pen's really a great benefit is. You're saving that embarrassment. It's giving you that boost in confidence that you can press that button and keep having it repeated back to you until you fully understand it. And that's where it's great to be used for as well. And what I've found is, and some of the feedback that I found from teachers, is that a lot of students have used them in the maths exams. And what I mean by the maths exams is them reasoning questions, them questions that ask you, why is this? What did John do? What did Adrian do? What did Bob do? And then before I know it, I've forgotten what Adrian did, because I've having to read back and I've forgotten what I've just read, and I'm getting really confused. I'm getting really anxious. And I would skip that question. And that's where the pen's great for, because I'm hearing it and I'm actually seeing it on the pen as well. And I can actually refer back to it.
It's your classic working memory.
It's classic. It is. And usually what I used to do is I'd write everywhere. I'd ask for extra paper for examinations. And in my examinations, I got extra time. And for me, that was perfect, because I could plan. I'm a planner. I can't jump in and be off cuff. That, for me, it makes me really nervous, other than maybe talking in front of people. But like an examination, for me, I would need planning, preparation. And I used to have a paper to the side of me, just blank paper, and I'd write things out. And what I'd do is I'd actually do rhymes or something that related to that page, related to that question, that really helped me to answer that question. And I'd refer back to that certain specific word or that rhyme that really helped me. And that's where I feel the pens are great for, because you refer him back so many times and it's giving you that reassurance to help you out.
You're getting that decoding done for you at the
Yeah,
point where you need it.
exactly. Yeah,
In the
exactly.
exam, you've got that unfamiliar question, and you don't want to be tested on how well you can read an exam question. You want to be tested on your knowledge, and so the exam pen is just that equalizer that enables you to
Yeah,
gain access to that question, isn't it? So that's
that's
great. That's a
that's it.
reasonable accessibility, not just for
It
a
is.
dyslexic learner, but for someone. You could have all
Yeah,
different sorts of reasons why that pen
and
might be helpful for you.
it could be that grade from that D to that C, because some people do know it, but they just miss out that odd word, or they misunderstand that question and they perceive it in a different way. And that's where the pen's great for not them students who might not be dyslexic, but them students who just need that little bit extra to help them out because they miss out certain words, or maybe they misunderstand the pronunciation of that words. And that's where the pen's great for, not only for dyslexic students, but also students who just need a little bit of a confidence boost as well. And that's where I feel it's really, really best placed as well, not
And
only just for them
perhaps
students,
for those EAL learners as well, Jim.
EAL students as well. You know, the pen actually has different languages on it, so it doesn't translate, but it has French, Spanish, Italian, German, Chinese, and Russian, and can be used in all across all modern language examinations, because the pen doesn't translate for you. All it does is reads it back in that language and in an accent. So it's great for that student to understand the pronunciation of some of them words in French, for example. So it is a fantastic tool for that.
The difficulty at the moment, while we've got COVID and it's awful,
Yeah,
but what it's causing teachers, I think, to think a little bit more laterally about how they can use assistive tech tools, Jim,
absolutely.
because you're looking to what you have got to try and fill the gap and provide the support where you need it.
Yeah,
And if you are doing that and students are learning at home with their pens, or they're using it in school-based tests at whatever level of school, at least you can bank that information and that becomes part of their normal way of working.
yeah.
And that opens up using the exam reader when exams do come back on board, that you've already got lots of students experience using that technology. I think if I were involved in teaching now, I would be looking at running different groups and having a little bit of an experiment to see which of my groups might be benefiting from using the pen, and thinking laterally about, well, perhaps let's have a look at the ADHD or behaviour student group and see if that supports them, or perhaps the EAL group, and perhaps just widening my net of who I'd be looking at to support at the moment.
Absolutely. And you know, all of this is actually feedback that I've gathered from teachers of like the pressing it so many times and using it in the maths exams. This is things I've seen before COVID hit, going around schools, and some of the feedback that teachers have given me, and some of the lovely stories that they've shared with us. And we will share this in later on in our slides, some of the research and studies that we've done. What I wanted to do really quickly before I pass over to Julia to go over the research and studies with you is just talk about hints and tips with you. So you will find when you're first implementing the pen into school, there's loads of different ways schools have done it, and loads of different ways that I've seen. So some of the schools have assigned a certain kind of trainer, or someone who's the kind of savvy whiz for the pens, and they would look after the pens. They would have all the training. They would know exactly how the pen works, and they go along and give the training to the people that would be looking after these pens most importantly. And they would hand out all of these resources, and they would look after the bank of pens and make sure that they get back to them. And what I've seen other schools do is they have a register to get the student to sign them out and sign them back in. So you're looking after the pens. Some schools put labels on the back of the pen so that's assigned to a specific student, and that gives them that personalization, that they really understand that this is the pen for them. They like the idea that they can take around the pen to their different lessons. They can use it in their examinations. And some schools actually sent them home, so they were now it's even more greater used at home because of the home learning. So it might be a possibility that you send a letter out to parents to say that this is a device that I'll be using, and this is how it helps them access the curriculum from home. So that's another idea as well. And the other thing I wanted to explain is just some of the hints and tips. So some of the tips that we have available is once you implement that pen and you get the student using it, let them play with that pen for 20 minutes, half an hour, and just make sure that they're using it afterwards, 10, 15 minutes, that they're using it in the correct way. Because what you will find is students will just scan everything and get excited using it because it's a brand new device and it's really, really fun and really exciting to use. And then go back to them, go through some of the vocab, some of the activities that Julie will show you later on, and really start to see if they're engaging and they're starting to get the real benefits of how to use the pen in the most effective way. So firstly, when you're using the pen, you need to make sure that the pen's at a certain angle. So if the pen's completely flat and when you're holding it, it won't pick up the text to you. And the reason for that is it's got a camera inside, and the camera needs to take a bird's eye view of it. It needs to be high up so that it's taking that picture, and then it's using the OCR, optical character recognition, to then read aloud back to you. So there's some great technology within inside the pen that will actually take that photo and convert it into text, and then it will speak it aloud back to you. So you need to make sure that you hold it at about a 75-degree angle. The pen was also designed kind of like a normal writing pen or pencil, that you basically hold it in your hand. It's quite small, that you hold it around the edges of the pen. I'm sure Julia can demonstrate. There you go. So you hold it at the angle, and you can see there she's holding it at about a 75-degree angle, and you kind of, it rests on your hand a little bit as well. So you've got a good grip on that pen as well. And what you've got to make sure is, so Julie is showing you the lever there. So the lever is basically the main button that you use. So when you push down on the page, and you don't need to push very hard, and it's very durable, push down, you